What if the most impactful legal decision of the last 50 years, one that shaped American society and ignited decades of protest, was decided by a single, last-minute vote? In 1973, Roe v. Wade enshrined abortion rights, but the path to that ruling was far from certain, a complex legal chess match played out by determined attorneys on both sides. We're going to pull back the curtain on the courtroom dramas, the strategic arguments, and the behind-the-scenes deliberations that led to one of the Supreme Court's most scrutinized opinions. How did a virtually unknown Texas case transform into a landmark constitutional right? And what were the precise legal theories that underpinned its controversial decision? In 1971, Norma McCorvey, a single pregnant woman using the pseudonym Jane Roe, sought to terminate her pregnancy in Texas. At the time, Texas law prohibited abortion except to save the mother's life. This deeply personal decision, rooted in McCorvey's individual circumstances, would soon ignite a legal firestorm that fundamentally reshaped American jurisprudence and society. What began as a challenge to a single state statute ultimately led to a landmark 7-2 Supreme Court decision on January 22, 1973, establishing a constitutional right to abortion, grounded in the 14th Amendment's implied right to privacy. This ruling, for nearly 5 decades, defined the parameters of reproductive autonomy in the United States. While Roe v. Wade is often discussed in broad strokes, the intricate legal arguments, the personal stories behind the pseudonyms, and the strategic decisions made by attorneys on both sides paint a much richer, and often surprising, picture. We'll examine the initial challenge McCorvey brought against Dallas County District Attorney Henry Wade, the legal strategies employed by her attorneys Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey, and how their arguments navigated the complex terrain of constitutional law, ultimately leading to a decision that continues to resonate today. What began as a challenge to Texas's abortion statutes escalated quickly. The formal case became known as Jane Roe, et al. V. Henry Wade, District Attorney of Dallas County, with Norma McCorvey appearing pseudonymously as Jane Roe to protect her privacy. Her legal team, including attorneys Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey, brought the case before the U.S. Supreme Court, challenging the constitutionality of Texas's laws that prohibited abortion except to save the mother's life. The initial oral arguments were heard on December 13, 1971. However, a shift in the court's composition necessitated a reargument. Justice Potter Stewart, for instance, had retired, and Justice Lewis Powell and Justice William Rehnquist had joined the bench. Consequently, the case was rearged on October 11, 1972. The central issue at stake was profound. The extent to which a state could restrict a woman's bodily autonomy, and the potential for a constitutional right to privacy to encompass the decision to terminate a pregnancy. This was not merely a question of statutory interpretation. It was a fundamental inquiry into the very scope of individual liberty under the 14th Amendment. This complex legal landscape set the stage for one of the most significant rulings in American history. On January 22, 1973, the Supreme Court delivered its watershed opinion in Roe v. Wade, a 7-2 majority decision that fundamentally reshaped American law. The court, in an opinion authored by Justice Harry Blackmun, found that a woman's decision to terminate a pregnancy was protected by an implied constitutional right to privacy, stemming from the 14th Amendment. This right, the court reasoned, was not explicitly stated, but rather, as in the 1965 case of Griswold v. Connecticut, which established marital privacy, it was a fundamental liberty derived from specific guarantees in the Bill of Rights. This ruling effectively legalized abortion across the United States. However, this right was not absolute. The court established a trimester framework. During the first trimester, the state could not regulate abortion. In the second trimester, The state could regulate abortion to protect maternal health, but could not prohibit it. It was only in the third trimester, after fetal viability, that states could, if they chose, regulate or even prohibit abortions, except when necessary to preserve the life or health of the mother. This framework aimed to balance individual liberty with the state's interest in potential life, setting the stage for 49 years of legal precedent. In an opinion authored by Justice Harry Blackmun, the court found a woman's decision to terminate a pregnancy protected by an implied constitutional right to privacy under the 14th Amendment. This right, while not absolute, could be regulated by states in later stages of pregnancy. The ruling established a trimester framework. States could not interfere in the first trimester, could regulate for maternal health in the second, and could prohibit abortions in the third trimester after fetal viability, with exceptions for the life or health of the mother. For nearly 49 years, Roe v. Wade made abortion fundamentally legal nationwide, yet the legal landscape was far from settled. The decision ignited profound societal shifts, becoming a cornerstone of reproductive rights advocacy and a constant target for anti-abortion movements. For instance, the National Right to Life Committee significantly escalated its activism post-Roe. State legislatures continuously tested the limits of the Roe framework, enacting over 1,300 abortion restrictions between 1973 and 2022, including waiting periods, parental consent, and targeted regulations of abortion providers. These continuous legal and political battles foreshadowed a seismic shift to come. Then, in a seismic shift nearly 5 decades later, the U.S. Supreme Court fundamentally altered the legal landscape once again. On June 24, 2022, the court, in a 6-3 ruling, issued its opinion in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, which directly overturned Roe v. Wade. This decision eliminated the constitutional right to abortion nationwide, thereby returning the authority to regulate or ban abortion to individual states. The dissenting justices, Justice Stephen Breyer, Justice Sonia Sotomayor, and Justice Elena Kagan, authored a joint dissent, arguing that the ruling constituted multiple human rights violations and stripped women of a fundamental liberty. Immediately following the Dobbs decision, numerous states activated trigger laws, statutes designed to take effect automatically or quickly after Roe's reversal, leading to a patchwork of abortion access across the country. For instance, in states like Texas and Mississippi, near-total bans quickly went into effect, while other states, such as California and New York, reaffirmed and expanded abortion protections. This profound legal and social uncertainty created a deeply divided nation, setting the stage for ongoing legislative and judicial battles over reproductive rights. This decision eliminated the constitutional right to abortion nationwide, thereby returning the authority to regulate or prohibit the procedure entirely to individual states. The overruling of Roe removed nearly 5 decades of federal protection, transforming a nationally recognized right into a patchwork of state-by-state laws. The immediate aftermath saw a rapid legal and political realignment across the United States. Within weeks, multiple states enacted trigger laws designed to ban or severely restrict abortion, while others moved to enshrine abortion access into state law. This led to a surge in legal challenges and referendums, such as the August 2022 Kansas statewide vote that rejected a constitutional amendment to remove abortion protections, demonstrating the intense public engagement on the issue. Human rights and abortion rights advocates, including organizations like the Center for Reproductive Rights, quickly shifted focus, proposing strategies to challenge state-level bans and review international human rights cases related to abortion access, highlighting concerns about the U.S. standing on global human rights. The battle over reproductive health care continues through state legislative efforts, ballot initiatives, and ongoing court cases, making the story of Roe v. Wade not merely historical, but an active, evolving narrative with profound implications for millions. This video presents publicly documented information. It is for educational purposes, not legal advice. To regulate or prohibit the procedure entirely to individual states. The overruling of Roe removed nearly 5 decades of federal protection, transforming a nationally recognized right into a patchwork of state-by-state laws. The immediate aftermath saw a rapid legal and political realignment, with states moving quickly to enact either bans or protections, creating distinct legal geographies for reproductive health care. The Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs was not an end to the abortion debate, but rather a dramatic pivot point. It reset the legal framework, moving the battleground from federal constitutional interpretation to state legislative and judicial arenas. The legal and societal struggle for reproductive rights across the United States has undeniably entered a new, profoundly complex chapter, marked by ongoing litigation and significant public discourse. The implications of this shift continue to unfold in state courts and legislative chambers nationwide. What are your thoughts on how the legal landscape has evolved since 2022 regarding reproductive rights? Share your perspective in the comments below. If you're interested in understanding more about the intersection of law and societal impact, subscribe to this channel for more in-depth legal analyses. And if you found this exploration helpful, my breakdown of Planned Parenthood v. Casey, which preceded Dobbs and significantly reevaluated Roe's framework, is exactly the next thing you should watch. This video presents publicly documented information. It is for educational purposes, not legal advice.